Today, I'm really excited to introduce our guest speaker, Dave Wiederrich. I hope I pronounced that right, but he's the
Perfectly.
oh, good. Okay. He's founder of Gentle Recall. And one of the things we hear often from caregivers like yourselves is how difficult communication can be as you're caring for someone with dementia. And so sometimes it can be hard to know what to say or how to get a conversation started or even how to connect with the person living with dementia. That's what makes today's topic very valuable. Dave's going to introduce us to gentle recall and guided reminiscence and show us some simple practical ways that we can use familiar words, memories, and conversation prompts to create meaningful moments of connection. And I especially appreciate that these are tools that caregivers can begin using right away without needing a lot of extra equipment or a lot of preparation. So, Dave, just thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today and for sharing these resources with our caregivers. And we'll also have time for questions and answers at the end of the webinar. So if you think of questions or if questions pop up, go ahead, jot them down, or you can type them into the chat if you want, and then we will address all of those towards the end of the webinar. So, and with that, I'm just happy to turn things over to Dave, and thanks so much, Dave.
Thank you, Carrie. It's great to be here. I appreciate this opportunity and just honored to be able to share this with everyone. This is something that, as you're about to see, is something that has grown over time, and it's just become a very valuable activity, and I'm excited to share it with you. So it's probably a pretty safe bet. Excuse me. It's a pretty safe bet that everyone on the call is shouting in their head, short. Doesn't everyone want me to make a long story short? Well, I do too. I will do my best to keep a long story short, but what you just did by completing that sentence in your head, making a long story short, is the heart of what we're going to be talking about. You completed the sentence, you recalled what that word should be, and completed it. Before we get into those details, I think it's very important to understand how I got here. The very first thing I want to share is that I am not a trained medical professional in any way, shape, or form. I barely passed biology in college, so I am not anywhere close to wanting to provide medical advice. That is not why we're here. Why we're here is I'm going to share what I've learned over the years that fortunately has become valuable to a lot of people as the feedback I've gotten. It started in childhood. I had a favorite aunt. I called her my crazy aunt because she was just wonderful, loved her to death. Later years, I was more of like a teenager. She started to repeat herself over and over and over. Uh, I didn't understand. I'd never had any exposure. So, I just kept the conversation going, thinking, well, okay, well, that's my aunt. I love her. So we'll talk. Fast forward, in 2012, I retired from 34 years with the truck manufacturer Freightliner. During that time, I had roles in communications, sales, marketing, operations, and ended in corporate communications, working in the CEO's office. A couple of years later, a friend of mine came to me whose mother-in-law was starting to have some memory issues. She lived on her own, independent, her own home, and my friend and his wife would check on her just about every day, and she was fine. It got to the point where she would be found in the backyard tending to her flowers, but the stovetop was on, full. Well, fortunately, there was never a problem, but they realized they needed a way to keep her reminded of important things. And what we developed, he came to me and asked me to help him develop a concept he was thinking of, and it turned into a card-based reminder system. Now, I know there's apps now and all that stuff, but at that time it was pretty effective for her. I actually had real playing cards made, so it was easy to manipulate with her hands. And reminders such as doctor's appointments and who's coming to visit and lock the doors, it's garbage day, whatever the reminders were, and they would set those cards up for her. And it worked out great. Well, during that time is when I really was the first exposure to dementia and really everything about it. And one of the things I learned was the concept of a memory cafe. Now, hopefully, everyone here knows about memory cafes, and hopefully you actually attend some. But what a memory cafe is, for those that don't know, is a dementia-friendly event. It's a dementia-friendly space organized very carefully where the person living with memory loss and their care provider can visit and enjoy together. It's not respite care. It is an actual outing that is uh, allows you to share that experience. Great. Memory cafes sound wonderful, and they are. It was easy to learn the history. They started. I'm sorry. Oh, it was easy to learn the history. They started in Europe, spread across the continent, came to the US, but it was hard to find one unless you knew that your church offered one or a local community center offered one. So I thought to myself, look, I spent tours of duty in IT when I was in the corporate world. This is a problem I could solve. So I created memorycafedirectory.com. And some of you may know about that, some may not. But there was really no centralized directory for memory cafes unless you just knew about one or two, or if you stumbled across a website that had a very outdated list, which I found a lot. So I created this directory and grew it to, there was over 1,000 listings in I think 6 or 7 countries. And people just came to me practically every day wanting to either list or update the directory, okay, with their information. And, this was several years into retirement. I'd learned about dementia. I'd learned about memory cafes. This is really the start of a passion project for me. I took my laptop with me when I traveled. I kept it updated. Wonderful. Well, a couple of years ago, Dementia Friendly America came to me and they wanted to acquire it because they wanted to take the 8 or 900 or so in the US listings and grow that to over 10,000. That's their long-term goal. And they want to include training resources, other kinds of informational resources that I just wasn't equipped to provide. And so I was happy to sell it to them, and they now have that under the Dementia Friendly America website. But the beauty of this is I ensured in talking with them that they would keep memorycafedirectory.com because the vast majority of people that I talk to have at least heard about it. And if you type in memorycafedirectory.com, it automatically redirects you to the Dementia Friendly America website on a
Hmm.
page that says Memory Cafe Directory. So it's very seamless. Please use it if uh, it's something that you can, hopefully there's something nearby. There's a lot of online, these kinds of environments where people get together remotely. Uh, but check it out. Memorycafedirectory.com will take you right there and see if that will help. Fast forward a little bit there, learning about memory cafes. I learned about a woman named Lori LeBay. Her platform is called Alzheimer's Speaks. Her mother lived with Alzheimer's for 30 years, and she cared for her. And I started listening to her podcast. Again, I'm learning more and more as I go. Lori kept talking about wishing she had a bunch of resources when she was faced with this challenge of caring for her mother. And I think her line usually was, all I got was a phone number to the Alzheimer's Association. Okay, that's a good start, but specific resources are even more important. So after hearing this a lot, I thought, okay, here's another problem I can solve. So I got in touch with her, introduced myself, explained this whole Dave keeping a long story short business, and told her that she knows all about dementia. I know a little bit, and I know all about websites. How about if we build the resource directory that she always wanted? Well, I was lucky enough that she said yes, and we created Dementia Map. And you can find that at dementiamap.com. Very simple. It's a resource directory, free to use, just like Memory Cafe directory was, and still is actually. Uh, Free to use, dementiamap.com. There's, I think we had 150 different categories or more and growing of resources. I don't know how many hundreds or thousands of listings, but it's a very simple tool that we developed that allows you to search with a map, kind of a Google style search, whatever term you're looking for. Gentle recall is part of this, as with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of other very valuable resources. A couple of years ago, Lori wanted to kind of do this on her own, and so I sold my co-founding half to her, and now she's just going gangbusters with it. The directory she always wanted. So this is a very valuable tool, and as time goes on, and it's the old chicken or the egg thing, the more people learn about it, the more valuable it becomes to them. Well, the more people that visit, the more resources that want to be part of it. And that's how it's grown over time. And it's become quite a centralized hub for a lot of information. So please use both memorycafedirectory.com and dementiamap.com. These are wonderful resources, and I'm happy Lori is continuing it and doing a great job. So as I said, I was stellar in college biology, not. And so everything I've learned has been just common information style. There's no medical stuff we're going to talk about, but it's important to think about how some of these things work. You know, it starts with what a memory is. When we experience things in life, we hear, we see, we taste, whatever it is, our brain encodes these, and it codes it in its special way to store things up in the brain and in the areas that it knows it's supposed to use. It uses a memory network. There's cells, there's neurons, there's synapses. Again, I don't understand how all that stuff works, but it's a network of the way the brain communicates. I think we all understand that. When we recall something, it just simply reverses the process. So we experience, let's say, a color or a sound or an event. The brain stores it. Later on, when we're triggered to remember that, it reverses the process and reassembles it, and we have a memory. Okay, that's pretty basic. But as everyone on this call knows, things like plaque and proteins and stuff like that, they get in the way. The brain has a problem putting those pieces back together at times, and we have challenges. I mean, that's really the essence of what a memory is, in and back out. So we're here to talk about recall, general recall and guided reminiscence. But why does recall help? I mean, that's probably the next logical question. We'll start with we have both long-term and short-term memory. Many of us, I'm sure, have done this where you've heard a phone number, or you saw a license plate, or you thought about an address, and you repeat it to yourself over and over and over and over and over until you could get to a piece of paper and write it down. Okay, you wanted to remember it. That's because short-term memory is quick to grab things. I mean, we see things all the time and experience things. Our short-term memory picks it up. But the challenge with short-term memory is it doesn't stay very long. And you can only handle so many things in short-term memory. Okay, that's why we repeat it until we can write it down. Scientists tell us that the act of writing it down can actually help transfer that into a little longer term memory. Plus, you have a written record, but that's a different issue. So the long-term side of it, though, is just the opposite. Long-term memory is hard to establish. It takes repetition, it takes some time, but it stays a lot longer. That's why the people who are in our care often remember things from a long time ago, but they may forget things that are more recent. And that's just the nature of long-term and short-term memory. Every time we recall a memory, and we reminisce. Something triggers us to remember that time that our cousin blew out the candles on the birthday cake and spit on the cake and nobody had it. We've all been there. Not, yeah. When that retrieval happens, it strengthens the tie to that memory. Okay. But here's the challenge. Now, I came up with that example because I had a chance to think about this, okay, to give you that example. It probably triggered some birthday memories for you too. But the key was there was a stimulus. There was this prompt that I gave you to practice recall on your own randomly. You have to kind of sit back and think, okay, what am I going to think about now? You'll never come up with everything. Okay, it's the goal is to have tools to help you practice that. That's what gentle recall is all about. It gives you what I call thoughtful prompts for meaningful connection. The prompts give you, like my birthday cake story, these are prompts that help you finish that phrase, as we talked earlier, me trying to keep a long story short. I don't know how I'm doing. Uh, and it gives you those prompts. So I think the easiest way to do this is just to give you a few examples. Okay. Be honest. Did you have roses? Let's do another one. There's just three of these. Did you have weed? There's a bit of a horticultural theme here. Not on purpose, but it just happened that way. So this gives you an idea of how these prompts. Now, hopefully, every single one of these prompts gave each of you just a spark of something, okay, in your past, whether it was your garden or um, pulling the weeds and your back hurting, or whatever it is. Hopefully, they gave you some sort of trigger that prompted just a piece of memory. Okay. This happens to be, we'll talk about the video version of these, but every gentle recall volume of these prompts. Also, I've created a YouTube version to where what you're seeing is actually the YouTube animated, very gentle, not a lot of dancing TikTok business. It's just a very gentle presentation so that you can enjoy this together and try to figure it out, have a laugh with it, maybe make a connection, and that's what the video version does. It can just be playing in the background too, if they just like screen time, maybe, whatever it is. So, quick recap of the benefits. Remember, the brain stores things randomly. Recall, a memory, recall reassembles those. And then every time we do that, it strengthens a tie to that memory. And that becomes, that's a very important piece of it. The basic components here is what what you saw earlier is exactly what I use. These are familiar phrases. They're called idioms that I always edit and create so that there's just one word at the very end. There's varying degrees of impact of these diseases on everyone. And I figured the easiest way to do this is just end it with one word. They can complete the sentence, one word. So they're all these familiar phrases. What you see on the right there is a picture of one of the PDFs. Now each of these on gentlerecall.com. By the way, the QR code takes you there if you want to use your phone or tablet while we're talking. Plus gentlerecall.com. You can go there anytime. But each of these volumes, and I think I have 28 of these volumes. Each volume has 20 on a page, or 20 included, and each one has its own web page, so you can use it on a phone or you can use it on your tablet or computer. But if you prefer to print a PDF, there's a link to this, like this example of the PDF. Maybe you're taking a road trip. Maybe you'd like to have a printed version that you can take with you somewhere, whatever the need. But again, it's optional. Use it any way you like. We talked about the YouTube videos. out on YouTube. It's at Gentle Recall, so very easy to find. And one thing I offer as well on the gentlerecall.com website is free email alerts. What you can do, here's the goal. Instead of you remembering, oh, I better go to General Recall to see if Dave has published anything lately. Nah, you're too busy for that. If you want to provide your email, I don't share it. I don't do anything with it other than send you information on Gentle Recall. Every time I publish something new, I'll drop an email to the list. And I think right now there's maybe 4,000 names on this list. And it just lets them know something new is out there and um, go get it if you need a new one. I also send information. I can't help myself. I have a bunch of websites on different topics. And when you sign up for Gentle Recall, you check that box. You can also choose, if you want to receive those kinds of alerts for other kinds of information I publish. And that's just an old communications guy that can't help himself. But Gentle Recall, it's very convenient. All of this is free. Again, this is a passion project of mine, and I love getting the feedback from people on how they use it. Memory cafes love these. They use them for icebreakers. They sometimes use it as a competition. Depending on the group, sometimes they're used slowly and quietly. Sometimes they're used and you shout out the answer and raise your arms, and it just depends on the group. And so they use them as the group enjoys them. It's wonderful. It's all free. So please take a look at General Recall and see if they can be helpful to you. There are people, like the feedback that I've gotten through this time is that General Recall isn't quite enough. They need a little more structure. They need a little more help. They need ideas on how to kind of present these. For example, a prompt is for the person living with memory decline. Okay, the prompt gets them to try to reconnect to a past memory. To dig deeper, which is guided reminiscence, I use it as a brand name, but also the art of guided reminiscence is carefully asking questions to probe a little deeper. Now, the General Recall prompts are just a start, but here's an example. If the April showers bring May flowers example I gave earlier, maybe the person in your care used to garden, okay, and had a big garden, but you can't ask them about flowers because they grew vegetables. Well, the prompts can be adjusted, the questions can be adjusted based on how you know your person, and you know them better than anyone. So even though it may be a vegetable garden or a flower garden, probe and dig deeper on a vegetable garden. Well, that's what guided reminiscence does. It gives you the additional tools to really dig deeper. And here's how it looks. It's all based on the same Gentle Recall prompt. Okay, in this case, where there's a will, there's a way. Okay. But what I also provide is I do some research and find out kind of the origin of the idiom, maybe what it means, every day. Uh, some of it's been fun for me because some of these are centuries old and they've evolved over time to what we know today. And there's been a lot of head slapping involved when I realized I didn't know what some of these meant. And then 3 suggested questions to help you go deeper into this reminiscence path. Now, again, this would be the example. If it happens to be that uh, garden example, if I'm suggesting about a flower garden and they grew vegetables, make the question, why did you grow all those zucchinis? I liked them, but there were a lot of them. and see if that triggers a chortle, a laugh, a grunt. Maybe they get all animated on, hey, I didn't like them, but I grew the heck out of them. Whatever it is, those kinds of questions can help you dig a little deeper than just the prompt by itself. Okay. Both guided reminiscence, the extra structure, the extra tools, as well as gentle recall, these tips really qualify for both. It's probably not a good idea to introduce either one of these by saying something like, "Hey, here's a helpful activity. Pay attention. We're going to do this." It's not going to go over well. It wouldn't go over with me. But if you know that they happen to be, whatever their personality is, maybe they're a helper. Maybe they like to help people and solve problems or whatever it is. Hey, can you help me? I can't figure out how this sentence ends. Help me. What's the last word? If they're a helper, their helper sense might just kick right in and try to help you. If they're a gamer, if they're competitive, they like to, if they're a trivia, who knows? Then, hey, let's play a game. You want to play a game? Let's see. Let's see if you can do this. Let's play a game. Then it's a different introduction. So again, you know your person better than anyone, and there are creative ways to actually introduce this. As I mentioned, the questions are a guide only. Use them as the way I like it is for guided reminiscence is the questions I provide are actually prompts for you to think about how you might pose a question to the person in your care. The prompts are actually for them, but the questions are for you to prompt you for a creative way to dig deeper. One of the most common questions I get is how often, how much should I do? Well, a lot of the answers to some of the Q&A that's coming will be it all depends because each person is different and maybe different at a different time of day or on a different day. So do as little or as much. You have to, do the best to read the room. I should have said read the room. I can't help myself. Uh, but use as many of these in any given session as possible or not. And, pick it up when the time is right. There's two very important rules to this. And this is both for guided reminiscence and for gentle recall. Accuracy is not the goal. I can't stress that enough. This is not a quiz. It's not a test. If someone remembers blue and it really was green, okay. Use there's in comedy, there's something called improvisational comedy. Improv. You've seen Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Listening.
Crazy show, right? Improv, the rule of improv is yes and. So what you do when someone's creating a comedy bit, you say yes, and then you add to it. That's how improv kind of builds and why it's hysterical because it goes in different directions. The same rule kind of applies here is if you get a wrong answer, fine. Build on that and ask a different question related to it. If they say blue and it should have been green, but wasn't it big? Just adjust it and keep going. Because as you go, you may trigger something that was highly accurate, which, isn't the goal, but it may trigger additional memories as you go. Don't just stop and say, no, that was wrong. We're done. That's, of course, not the goal. The goal is any connection. And whether it's accurate or not, making a connection, the eyes opening a little more, whatever it is for your person, making that connection, any connection is welcome. And that's what we're trying to do. Guided reminiscence, the way it works, the way it's delivered is I set this up even easier than gentle recall in that using the email notice. So every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday mornings, there's an automated email that comes out that will provide 5 expanded prompts, like the example I showed earlier. It'll have the meaning, it'll have those 3 suggested questions. There'll be a link to a PDF if you choose to print it. Again, you don't have to, but some people like it. I've been careful to, in the testing that I did, the emails themselves are very easy to read on a phone or a tablet, certainly on your computer. And then you also have the PDF along with those. And this is something I charge $5.99 a month. It's just automatic, uh, and it gives you a much additional structure in which to work. But I would first caution, always start with gentle recall. For a lot of people, that's all they need because they can use that effectively. If you need a little more structure, a few more ideas for you, then guided reminiscence might be a good tool. As I said, we're going to end. Carrie's going to facilitate some Q&A at the end here, and as I said, I can stay as long as we need to answer all your questions. What I'd like to do is run through just a few of these that are pretty common. And if I answer your question in advance, great, and then we can dig deeper later. But let me just run through a few of these, and these are ones that I get all the time, and it's really good to start with these. I just talked about start with gentle recall. There is no reason not to. As I said, it's free. There's no obligation. Check it out. Figure out if the online, if the PDF, if the video, whatever works for you, maybe all three. Uh, but start with gentle recall and then decide if guided reminiscence is right for you. Here's the start of a few. It all depends. Absolutely, you can use it every day. You may find that on a given day, they won't have it. I'm not in the mood. Well, don't push it. Maybe tomorrow will be a better day. But yes, there's no reason. We have conversations with people every day, all day. Now, sometimes I get tired of people and I go home. But but we converse with people all the time. And this is really what this is. So yes, it can be used every day and hopefully foster a deeper bit of communication. It all depends. This is something that you'll know quickly how much time is appropriate uh, on one day. Or feedback I get is mornings people are a lot more alert. At least it depends. Mornings people are more alert, more attentive. In the afternoons, they might get a little tired, or other things are happening in the afternoon. Uh, Play it by ear. See what really works best for you. Spend as much time when the time is right. I say absolutely yes. There is no reason why this can't be tried. Now, again, your mileage may vary, as they say, because everyone's different. But there's no reason why this can't be used, because if you can make a connection, regardless of the stage, any type of connection is welcome. And that's something that you just never know until you try it. There was uh, there was an article I published on my main website is jadcommedia.com, but that's where I publish a lot of stuff that um, I just don't have any other place for it. But it should live on Gentle Recall, but I published an article about, and there's a YouTube video embedded in this article where there used music for reminiscence and recall. And this gentleman was in reasonably, at least moderate, if not late stages, nearly nonverbal, very quiet most of the day. And they provided headphones for him they learned from the family what his favorite old music was. And when the music came on, his eyes opened, he sat up straighter, his eyes eventually got very, very wide. He started bopping with the music. He started kind of singing the music, and then enunciated the words quite clearly of his music, the lyrics. And off camera, they were asking about his music. Is this your favorite? What's your favorite music? And they kept digging, and he started talking about his favorite music and who he liked, and oh, I love this, and on and on. Here's the best part. When they took the headphones off, the session was done. The benefits stayed with him for a little while before he faded back to his very quiet state. But he stayed animated for a little while. And it was amazing to watch. So if you go to Carrie can provide this link maybe later but JADCOM, JADCOM, my kids and wife's first names as we go across. JADCOMmedia.com and just search for recall, or I forget how I titled it. I'll send it to Carrie and she can get it out to everyone. It's a wonderful piece, and I love that YouTube video that's there. So yes, can be used, and hopefully any sort of connection is welcomed in that. We live in a digital world, and this absolutely can be used. And again, it kind of requires, though, that the person be comfortable with uh, electronic devices. Some people love their screen time, that's fine. Some are not so sure, and maybe the stage might have a factor. But if you can, absolutely. And here's why it's valuable. There's there's more people that then can participate in this reminiscence. So not only is it important to have different stimuli, you have different prompts because you just don't know what's going to make a connection at any given time, but different people bring a different kind of a different flavor to those perspectives. So uh, someone over a video call might have a different way to pursue questions to guide that reminiscence than you or somebody else on the other call tomorrow. So absolutely use these over digital devices, mobile devices, if the person likes it, and it could provide a lot better opportunities for connection. Well, there's no guarantees, as we all know. Um, all I can share with you is the feedback I've gotten from people about how this really, both general recall and guided reminiscence, how they're just able to have more conversation, more interaction. Sometimes the connections are comical. It allows it provides the tool to really dig deeper, kind of under the covers a bit and get in there. And uh, but no guarantees. I mean, we're not here with that. But the hope is that you will be able to make some additional connections that maybe weren't made without this additional strategy. This is a big one. Again, you'll have to read the room on this, but everything that I put together, I've purposely avoided some prompts as I've encountered them, researched them, edited, and I realized, I'm not going to go there because it's kind of a negative sentiment. And of course, the reminiscence path could then become kind of a negative sentiment. And I just don't want to go there. You also may find that a positive prompt, a positive topic, or neutral, I mean, it doesn't have to be positive every time, could generate a negative memory. It's possible. I mean, everybody has their own past, of course. If you find that there's some emotion starting, and it's not positive emotion, change the topic. Move to something else. Everybody is different. Everybody may react differently, but this is again you knowing your person better than anyone. And if you find something that just, doesn't really feel right, adjust the question, maybe change the prompt, go in a different direction, whatever you feel is right. And that's really the only time it should be avoided. But believe me, I do everything I can to just throw out the ones that I'm not going there. I just don't want to do it. I can't thank you enough for this opportunity. We're going to do a Q&A here in a second. Give that to Carrie to kick off. But what I would like to do is if, as I said, gentle recall is something that you really should start with. But if you want to try guided reminiscence, I would like to allow your first month free, just so you can try it. And what the link that you see on the screen there, gentlerecall.com/free month, and that's the key. That page will allow you to sign up with, of course, there's a credit card needed, but your first month will be free. No cost. You'll see right on there it's zero. Every email that you'll get in the guided reminiscence sequence, uh, there's links at the bottom. You can cancel anytime you want. So if you cancel before the 1 month renewal, it won't cost you anything. If you like it, then you'll just be charged $5.99 a month, and it's very simple. You can, again, canceling anytime. This is what I would like to do to say thank you for everything that you do. And if you want to try it, please use the free month. That link is not visible on any navigational menus or anything. You have to know this. So I'm going to leave this up here while we go to Q&A. So if you want to make sure you get that written down accordingly, then you can go get your first month free. With that, thank you very much for your attention, and I'll give it back to Carrie.
No? Okay, we have about 10 more minutes or so, but Dave, I was wondering if you could touch on the dementia map a little bit more, kind of,
Yes.
because I got on that website and it was just a wealth of knowledge,
Oh,
or resources and things on there that I didn't even know existed. So I just thought it'd be good information to share with the rest of them.
absolutely. I'm thrilled that with what Lori and I have been able to put together on that. Um, as I said, it started with just her her desire for that kind of a centralized resource. And it, the basic launch only took about 2 or 3 months. Now, we didn't have a lot of content out there yet, but we got the format that you see there, and she hasn't really changed it because we most of the work that we did was to create a format that was as easy to use as possible. We didn't
Mhm.
want a lot of fancy stuff or styled, very bougie kind. We didn't want any of that. We wanted straightforward, simple, direct, easy to use. So there was no fluff, if you will.
Great.
And it hopefully that hit the target because the feedback we've been getting and she continues to get is just so easy to use.
Yeah, and if I remember right, when you get on the website, you can either click on like your state or your area to search, or there's subjects or topics.
Exactly.
Okay.
Right. And that was an important part of our discussion and planning for that was what's the easiest way to find things?
Mhm.
Okay. So uh, the map gives you an idea. You'll see the little blue dots and the maps and what'll happen is if you have a big view like this, there's dots. Okay.
Mhm.
As you zoom in and get more detail, the dots expand because you can see more detail.
Right.
And eventually you might see a dot down the road. Hopefully, it's a memory cafe because we had that conversation. But that is a real visual way to see what's nearby. Now, we all know that the call we're on right now is an example of we don't need to be nearby to get valuable information. So we also have the way to, I'd say we because it's my baby, but it's all hers now. Uh, there's also a way to search like you would on Google.
Right.
Okay. What's nice about that is when you search, it doesn't just search for the name. Like you type gentle recall, you'll find me on there. Okay. You can type just recall, it'll find me. Or just gentle, it'll find me. But you might type reminiscence. That's not part of the heading. It's part of the body of what the description of that resource is. Any word that's in the description of a resource is searchable. So if you can't remember the name of whatever that thing was, but you remember what the description about it was, start searching for a couple of words that you know. I'll bet you'll find it.
And can you tell everyone, so the dementia map is resources specifically for caregivers caring for someone with dementia or Alzheimer's?
Absolutely.
So it has, yeah. What are some of the can you just give us kind of a broad overview of some of the topics or the
Oh gosh.
okay.
If I could,
I wish, yeah, I don't
well,
know if we can share it, but
well, let me see if I can. Let's see how good I am here. Let me stop the
okay.
sharing
Okay.
and let me see if I can. Maybe we can just do a quick little tour of Dementia Map. Let me see if I can get there and share it is the key.
Okay, that would be great. Just because I did find it so like I've been on it a few times since I came across it, and even in the little area where I live, the rural area, there's resources on it. So, but
Okay. Do you see the web page?
yes, yeah,
Okay. So this is dementiamap.com. Okay. Quick little orientation, the logo on the upper left, of course. On the right, on the header, you'll see the Alabama Cares. The format of this is it's free to use for you, absolutely free to use, no obligation whatsoever. It's information. There are three ways that resources can be part of Dementia Map. There's a free plan, and we recognized that not everyone had a big budget to be a part of something like this. So we offered a free plan with a basic listing. And there's
that's if you
hun
want to be on this.
if you're a resource and you want to be
Okay,
listed on Dementia Map.
yeah.
But we also offered two levels of paid plans with a lot more visibility, a lot more information that the the Alabama Cares people are, I don't know, but they're one of the paid plans because they get an ad on the site, an ad. There's no Google ads, no nonsense like that. Everything is a resource that that is part of the directory. Okay, so it's
So how
very,
would our okay,
go
sorry.
ahead.
How would our caregivers use this
Okay.
resource? Yeah.
Okay, so let's go down and the sidebar has a bunch of stuff, but the heart of this right here is just a little ways down the web page, the home page. There's a calendar of events, there's a lot of things coming up. There's a glossary of terms and very simple 2 to 3 sentences definitions of various terms, and of course a blog for articles. But here's the key, the resource directory. I'm going to go in there and we show, I almost said but she shows some tips on how to, this is fun. I haven't done this in a long time. Uh, so here's the search. So it starts with a big old map and you can see some dots. Well, we'll get to the search up here in a second, but
Search, yeah. Maybe Idaho or
so I'm just kind of double clicking and you see the dots kind of expand. Come on, Idaho.
there are more. There are some there. So
Hmm.
there were.
Oh, up here. Let's see what this is. All right. And it shows a little summary of what's listed up there. This author must be based up there.
Yeah.
Uh, let's close this and let's just click on the other dot.
That was a good book.
Is it a good book?
It's a great book.
Oh, great. So here's Northern Idaho Memory Clinic. They're up there. So you can see, very easy to search with the dots. However, we're all familiar with searching with Dr. Google, but let's say I just, here's my example. I'm going to search the directory for recall. Well, there's other stuff, but guess what? There's gentle recall.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how quick and easy it is to find a resource that you want to find. And it
And
just, okay.
yeah.
Now, let's go back. Your question, Carrie, I'm leading going toward it. You can search by location, if you want to search that way. Uh, but all of these categories, here's all the categories. I'm just going to kind of put those up there alphabetically. I think you can read that on your screen.
Yes.
Okay. So this gives you an idea of how many categories of resources are out there. This is why I chuckled when you asked,
Yeah.
because I could not remember
Yeah.
that. And I'm just going to slowly scroll through so you can see there's so much out there, and it's growing all the time. Um, I teased Lori about, I'm glad I got out of the way because she's really going gangbusters with this, and it just continues to grow. So hopefully that answered your question about what kinds of things are out there.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's amazing. So let's go incontinence products. Just that probably is common for a lot of us. Um, so you choose a category
Mm-hmm.
and then just type search. Oh, well, my recall is still up there. I guess I should use the website the way it's supposed to be used. All right. Let's do oh, here's one close to home, care managers. Let's see what they have out there. Okay, there's a couple back in Minnesota, it looks like.
We gotta get on here.
Yeah.
Okay.
See, that's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
And there is no reason why not. Let me see if I can find um assisted living probably. Or you can choose multiple, if you want to
Mhm.
do that kind of search. Okay, so there's some assisted living, and there's the dots. If you happen to be in Indiana or Ohio, you just hover
Mhm.
over it and it'll give you a little.
Yeah.
So you can just see how easy it is to find what you're after. And there's different ways. The categories are in kind of broken out. If you know you're looking for some sort of support service,
Right.
then narrow it down.
Mhm.
I showed you the all categories to make a point, of course. But if it's some sort of a product you're looking for, uh,
Right.
they're bucketed this way to make it a lot easier to kind of narrow down your search.
Right.
Anyway, so that's Dementia Map. I just love it.
Yeah. Yeah. Great. Thank you, Dave.
Oh, my
Uh,
pleasure.
okay, we are a minute over time already, but anybody with last minute questions? Otherwise, we'll end here. And I just want to thank you, Dave, again for being here, being our guest speaker, and
My pleasure.
thank all caregivers and
If
coworkers for being here.
One last thought for everyone, if you don't mind. If
No,
this was something you felt was valuable, I would love to have these kinds of conversations with other groups. If your church group or your community center, or maybe some of your colleagues carry, in other parts of the state or other states.
mhm,
I'd love to do this because the more people that learn about it, the more can benefit, and that's what I want to do.
for sure.
So
Yeah.
thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you, everyone.
Bye now.
Bye bye.
Bye.